Well, I'll tell you what. I know who we should bring on camera.
We should get Vinny on. So, Para family, let's welcome Vinny Amico from Phoenix, Arizona. Vinny, how's it going tonight?
Hi. Hello, everybody. How you doing tonight? We're doing good here. Not as bad.
And the dog.
That was perfect.
Go by Mom. Get out of here.
Perfect timing.
And also, just so you know, we do have our chat running right alongside us. We have greetings from Nicole Lynn, who is a friend of mine from Virginia, from the Hopewell Theater, and from Hopewell, Virginia, the Beacon Theater. There's a friend of the show, Betsy Kulikowski, and Eric Harrison is on too. So, hey, everyone.
That's right. And remember, as always, if any of you guys have questions for Vinny or for us, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll try and get them included in as best we can.
All right. Welcome to the show, Vinny. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Well, Vinny, let's start her off easy. What got you interested in the paranormal?
Well, when I was younger, I was about 6 years old. My grandfather that spring passed away. We had a summer house. I'm from Jersey. We had a summer house in Middleville, New Jersey. It was basically fieldstone, all fieldstone. And I was playing on the back porch, and my grandfather smoked the old Italian stogies, and he lost his leg in World War II. Couldn't speak English. Every time he hugged me, he had the scraggly beard, and was always scratching me. And I just hated being around the guy, honestly. But I'm in the back porch playing, I'm like 6 years old, and all of a sudden I get this smell. I recognize the smell, and I turn, and there he is. So I run inside and grab my mother. I just saw Grandpa, and she's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. She comes outside with me. Obviously, he's not there. But she wrote it off to my imagination, which everybody tends to do. I couldn't leave it alone. As I got older, I started researching. When kids were playing baseball on Saturdays, I was at the library. So that fueled me as I got older. You're working in close environments. I work for the post office. So it's a boring job, and you're talking to, your coworker, and all of a sudden there you go. Hey, you believe in ghosts? Oh, yeah, I had this happen. Next thing you know, you had a small group of people that had the same type of experience as you did. So that's kind of how it started.
That's fantastic. And what I love about what you described is how you just took all that curiosity and you just went to the library.
Well, yeah,
that's great.
There was no internet, there was no real television. I would think in '69 we had Scooby-Doo. I mean, Topper and all of that. That was pretty much it. Scooby-Doo was great because they always debunked everything, which is kind of good. But
That's true.
There wasn't really much out there. And, as you met other people, you heard their stories. Some things were similar. Some things were a little bit different. But it was something that you didn't really talk about. If you mentioned things like that, you were headed for a rubber room. So when people approached us, it was all about confidentiality. You didn't post things anywhere. You didn't do anything like that. You didn't talk to anybody about it. It was very, very, very low key. And that's how it kind of started. So one person we help out. First one was actually in '78. Same situation as I had. It was a young child that was seeing something. And I worked with a woman on the night shift, and she was a single mom. And she's like, I don't know what to do. She didn't have a husband. She didn't really have any family to kind of lean on. So we took a look, and couldn't really find much, but we helped the child understand and that he wasn't alone, and that other people have the same experiences. So that's where it goes. And it went from there to there. Somebody heard about this, someone heard about that. And that's how it grew.
Love it. That support's pretty important.
Yeah. Well, how did you take that, what was going on in Jersey, and incorporate it now into the Arizona Paranormal Investigation and Research Society?
Oh, as the years went on, things started to get a little more open with the paranormal. And back in Jersey, it was always like, yeah, we'll get to that, back burner. Yeah, we'll get to that. All of a sudden, I got a transfer. I honeymooned in Arizona in '84, and we loved it. We're definitely going to live here one day. So around 2005, we were out here, and I went down to the personnel. I tried to get transferred out there. Yeah, no problem. Just put your papers in for 6 months before you want to come. Did that. 3 years later, still nothing. All of a sudden, boom. My wife's birthday, my postmaster hands me a letter, goes, congratulations. And I look at it. You have to report to Scottsdale, Arizona. In 2 weeks. So I was like, okay. So my wife stood back, and, I came out here. So once I got out here, I reached out at that point. There were some websites that had lists of teams. You can Google things then, in 2008. So I reached out to a lot of teams that were out here, and basically hardly any responses. At that point, I had 30 years of experience. So I don't know if it was something that, they were close knit, but one group that did get back to me was J. Marie Yates. And we ended up meeting, and they were great people. And the thing was, people in Jersey, hey, I investigated over here. Here's the contact name. Why don't you go over and investigate it? Then we'll compare and see if you're getting the same type of things we are. Out here, it's like, they want anything to do with it. And when you did have somebody contact you saying you're not interested, I'm like, well, I see you investigated such and such. Can you give me a contact name? No, that's ours. You can't have that information. Like they was guarded, like they pay the taxes and mortgage, So I decided in 2011, all right, let me just, put our own team together, and that's what we did. And over the years, it took a really long time to get our core group that we have now, the core people. This is a business where you need to know each other inside and out. You can't have any egos. There aren't any know-it-alls. We're all working for a common goal. And it was a long time to weed people out and just get that personality group that just blends so well together. So that's where we are today.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to have that. That's such a vital piece of an investigative team.
It's actually huge.
It's so
huge.
huge.
Other people is actually huge. Because any type of emotions, negativity, animosity in between, that's coming out with you. And if you're trying to make contact and you have all these skeletons, behind you in your back door, you're not going to really have successful evenings. That's going to be picked up on. So.
Well, and the other thing with it too is, you're opening yourself up in a place that you don't know to things you don't know, and you got to trust that these people with you have your back.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So it's been a long road, but I'm going to be 64 at the end of this month. So, I got more years, but we have some newer blood that are on, and they're just excellent investigators. And I think, once I decide to call it quits, they will be carrying the torch for sure. So
I feel like you got a little ways to go yet, by the way.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, Nicole Lynn had a quick question. She asked, what advice do you have for fellow investigators?
Basically, learn your capabilities, learn your shortfalls, because we all are not perfect. We all have idiosyncrasies. Know yourself, first off, before you go in and do anything. And again, get with a good group of people. As far as equipment, you can have cases and cases of gear. If you don't understand how it works, what it's reacting to, it's really useless. But just go out with a positive mind. Remember to always respect where you're going. You are actually going someplace that is not yours. Whatever reason they may be there, they need total respect and they need to be understood. They don't need to be pushed. It's their way of doing things, and you stick with that. You don't try to provoke. I don't anyhow. There are teams that do that, but I get so much with honey, and that's just the way. And that's my nature. I'm very, very mellow. So
I like how you said that. I use the honey.
Well, you can go out there with vinegar, but not going to get anything.
That's true.
I mean, when there's a couple of locations we do a lot, and when I get there, like the heel of jail, I go up. There's 3 levels. I go to the top of the 2nd level, and I'm talking in the stairwell. I'm telling them about my granddaughter, what happened, things that happened with me. And it's almost like there's a rapport, like there's an understanding and a mutual respect. And that works out very, very well. Even places that I haven't been to, I'm always introduce myself. I want to let them know what my intent is. I want permission that I'm going to be trying to communicate with you. And sometimes right off you get something, and if it seems negative or you hear get out. They don't want you there. Don't push the envelope. And I know a lot of times you have to pay for things, and I get that, but you really need to respect that location and what they want.
Sounds like a plan. What do you think, Brandon?
I get a little different response whenever I walk into a jail, though.
Yep. Yeah. They're like, "Ooh, it's right? Brandon."
It's more of a bad word towards a particular farm animal that's associated with police.
Dun dun dun.
Due to my background. They pick them at that like this. So
I get the time I go into a jail, I get somebody sprinkling what looks like little lights at me. Yeah.
Jails are a good one. We did a lot of theater back east. I always worked for the post office, but I had a side business was a production, it was a stage lighting company. So we did a lot of off Broadway and a lot of small theaters. And you know darn well, every single theater you go in there and you're dealing with the crew, and you're like, okay, come on, tell me the ghost stories here. And they would, every theater had something.
Oh,
so
yes.
all of a sudden, people started finding out about us, and we started doing a lot of theater work. And I get a call, and I'm expecting a lighting rental or an install, and they're like, hey, can you come out and check out our theater? I'm like, I don't make any money doing that. Yeah, okay. Promise you buy something from me, though. But that's how we got a lot. And theaters are always, they just are very, very active. It's a place that people, whether worked or they performed, it was a very tight community. And it's something that when you pass, it's something that you still want to be part of. So theaters are very, very active locations.
Yeah, and it's also the energy of the audiences that come in too, because they're experiencing this amazing thing on the stage. So let's get into some of these places that you like to investigate. Brandon, where do you want to start?
I don't know. What was your favorite, Ben?
Definitely the Hill of Jail. I've been there since 2010. When I first came out, again, there wasn't many interactions. Somebody told me about this thing called Meetup, which I never heard about. So I joined that, and it was a bunch of different groups. Anyhow, I got a chance to go up to Hill Jail up in Globe, Arizona. And the first time I was in there, we were on a second level. They call them tanks. And I was on a second cell on the left. It was a neo-Nazi cell, white supremacy cell, swastikas and everything. So I walked in there. I set up a camera, a stack cam. And I'm walking out, and I didn't hear it, but obviously when you review, I get just as I walk out. Now, the people I was with, they call me Vince. I go by Vinny. Nobody calls me Vincent. And all of a sudden, I got a Vinny. So that was kind of curious my first time out. And we've been there multiple times every year. And then we decided to work with the Historical Society there to help raise funds. So now I'm up there pretty much every month. We're doing events the end of this month. For they have something called the Ghost of Globe, which is a ghost walk in town. It goes up and down what they call it's Broad Street. It's their main street. And it's pretty neat because they tell stories at different locations. Everybody's in period clothing. You start at one location, you take a tour of the jail, you come out, you go to somebody holding a lantern. You go down to them, they tell you their spiel, you go to the next lantern, and 2 hours later, you're done. So that is coupled with we do paranormal investigations for the public at the end of the night at 10 o'clock. They usually run at 2 o'clock. So that's something that's been going on religiously now for 20-something years, and we just got involved in 2017. And it's a lot of fun. These small towns that are out here, that's all that is here, is a lot of small communities, all wrapped around mining. You mentioned copper. There's copper everywhere out here. And yes, it is a conduit for paranormal. We have tons of quartz out here. That's something else that is going on. So yeah, nature here kind of helps open up that doorway for us for sure.
Well, and Globe itself, man, there is so many ghost stories that come out of Globe. I swear, out of every town that I've heard about, everybody always has something about Globe.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of the Gila Jail next door to the 1906 courthouse. We just had the opportunity to investigate that in January. And the Historical Society, there's two boards that control the courthouse. You have the main level in the basement, then you have, technically it's the third level. And the people that are on the board on the third level are reluctant to do any type of paranormal stuff. The downstairs, the other group board wants to do it. So we've been kind of bouncing back. Hopefully 2023 they open up. But that was another place. I like virgin places that have really never been touched, because you're going in there with a clean slate, no perceptions of anything, which is a problem with a lot of people. You go someplace like you mentioned, San Carlos. Yes, is it haunted? I assume it is. I've been there. I have not investigated in that place. But you go to your predetermined, and all of a sudden you're starting to think everything is paranormal. And Jason Hawes had an excellent quote on one of the shows. He was not yelling at a client, but he was saying, look, if you go someplace expecting something to be paranormal, everything is fine. It's going to be paranormal. If you go in there to dissect it and debunk it, you're only going to be left with things you can't explain. So it was, that is something that should be carried through. That is a great approach to investigate anywhere. Those claims you hear, yes, write them down or have them in your back pocket, but don't let them control your night, because then you're just getting the wrong information.
Yeah, and I've said that for a long time. That's really why I avoid a lot of like the real mainstream places, like, the Waverly Sanatorium and stuff like that, because there's just been so many investigators in places that it's so hard to find out any information about the property without hearing 50 ghost stories about what's happened there. Mm-hmm. And trying to go in there with an open mind is so difficult.
Yeah, and I try to tell some of the owners in the historic societies that, hey, look, this, kind of look at it as Halloween. Everybody loves kids to come to the door trick-or-treating, all their great costumes and their creativity, but you don't want Halloween every freaking Saturday night. The ring a doorbell. After a while, it gets tired, and it's going to shut things down. So you have to keep it fresh and understand, they love visitors. Sometimes they don't, but they don't want it all the time. So you have to give things a bit of a rest. And the places like out here, like Jerome or the Grant, everybody's been there. You talk, where do you want to go in Arizona? Down in Bisbee at the Copper Queen and the Grant, up in Jerome, the San Carlos and Phoenix. Those are things that are big draws because they're on pretty much every single website about haunted locations. So the gems, the ones that nobody knows about, are some things that we are doing, which is great. And that's the thing with historical societies, you're helping them raise money, and then there's someone else. Unfortunately, everything is 2 to 8 hours away out here. As you know, driving through Phoenix, it took you forever to get through. But, you'll get somebody on a different board that's part of the Arizona Historical Society, which is the main society here. And they want you to come out to their place. We can't just go out there and say, hey, we're going to do an event for you and say it's haunted. We need to go out and get something, just to sort of validate, or even whatever claims they have, maybe validate what they have. But that's kind of how we work things. And, we started AZ Ghost Tours in 2017 for the simple fact to help these locations stay. I want my granddaughter to be able to go to jail when she's 25, or maybe with her children, to enjoy that history, what they did out here and everywhere in the United States and even the world. The hard work to get this place built from that barren desert that looked cracked from the airplane to what it is today. That was a lot of work. It's not easy, especially in 110 degree heat. It was really brutal conditions out here. So history has to stay alive.
Let's also be clear. Vinny does not want his granddaughter to actually go to jail when she's 25.
Go to places like the Gila Jail Museum.
But yes, definitely. Can you tell us what's the name of that jail again? Halo?
1910
Gila.
ILA. It's
IL. Okay.
Yeah,
there are a couple. Yeah, some of our friends here on the chat are real into haunted jails, so we want to make sure that they know exactly what you're talking about.
But there's a few. I don't see anything in the chat, so I'm kind of.
No, it's okay. We got you.
It's okay. We got it. We got your back. And by the way, say hello to Gail, and hello to Tina, and hello to Gina. All of our fun people here. Yay.
Tina's playing the welcome wagon in the group chat.
Yeah.
So, tell us more about the tour that you do.
Yes.
Well, we try to keep it realistic. These are actual paranormal investigations. We, like, for instance, the Gila Jail, there are some other people that do things out here, which are fine, but they pack a lot of people in. Everything that we get is donated to the Historical Society. The jail, we only have 8 people. And the way we work it, we kind of sort of interview the people. We show them a little evidence that we have captured, give them history of the jail. We take them on a tour, but we get to know their capabilities. Are we all brand new that, hey, we watched the stuff on TV, we wanted to try it out once? So we will customize as we're going that night for their needs and their experience levels. If we have people that are experienced, they came in from California somewhere and they want to get a chance to investigate here, we'll give them some space and they'll work as much as they can on their own. So it's kind of a mixed thing. There's no actual program. It's just kind of, it flies as we go.
Sure.
That sounds great.
So Gail had a quick question in there. She asked what your opinion was. I mean, how do you feel about when someone is actively dying? So like other spirits coming and receiving them in. Is that something that you've had any experience with?
I believe it. I believe that other spirits do come in that area, simply because we are all energy. Everything is about energy. Energy can't be destroyed. It could be transferred and transformed into something else. But I believe in that specific time, there are what I'm going to call guides that will actually come and help people move along, go into whatever the afterlife, which is our question. Is there really an afterlife? But that is my personal opinion that, yes, there are spirits there. Sometimes it may be that of a loved one because they may have still been watching them for however many years since they've passed. They may still be part of their lives, always observing. So, yeah, I do believe that for sure.
Gail's getting all deep on us tonight.
I love it. I like it. You know what? I like it when things get deep. Now, I actually am curious, Vinny, what has been some of the most powerful experiences that some of your guests have had on the tours?
As far as the guests go,
Mm-hmm.
we do a couple of different experiments. We have a variation of the S's method where we use the entire group. Now, some of the background of the jail, one of the most infamous inmates they had there was a gentleman named Kingsley Old. He was accused of killing his employer's two little daughters, Lulu and Myrtle, back in 1911. So they wanted to hang him immediately. They weren't going to wait for any judge. So what they ended up doing was they incorporated him in a cell. He was shot from across the courthouse, across the alley, through the bars, and they killed him early morning. So his spirit is definitely there, and we are picking up on his spirit. During the S's method, we use all the group, their combined energy, instead of doing something remote where a lot of people tend to do that. We don't use walkies or any of that. And everybody's there and everybody gets involved in the questions. And some of the rapport is not just random words. These people are actually coming up and answering questions. So people are absolutely awed by that type of experience, the actual communication and the relativity of the answers to the questions we're asking. That's a big, huge thing that we do that people love.
Wow. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, we started running dual Estes methods in locations where we have the two people hooked up and then we have the other team around asking questions and then watching as it starts to progress and they start to understand what we're doing and the conversations go from answering the questions of the investigators to just the two people talking forth. Yep.
Yeah. We've had that. We did something in a Donna Ana jail. They did a Paracon last year and they asked us to come out and run the events for them. So there were so many people. I mean, we ran 3 tours of 10. So we had this huge room and we're like, there's no way that we can just have one person do it. So we ran an SP11 and we had 2 people doing a spirit box. And all of a sudden they were actually bickering. It was like a husband and wife bickering back and forth. And it was trippy. It really was. That was a very, very unique experience. But yeah, that is something that we've done. Actually, friends were just in New York with EVPS. The main team was here, and they also have a splinter out in New Jersey, and they went to New York State. I forgot where they were investigating, but their S is what they ended up doing. Same type of thing. They had 2 different people in 2 different areas, and they also had the walkies to hear, but they also had Wi-Fi mics where they were transmitting down to the base area, and they had 2 people writing down everything they say and writing down the times. And they compared that a lot of the communications was relevant to what each other were saying. So they were internally communicating back and forth. So that was a kind of real interesting experiment.
Well, you talk about a splinter team for that other one for EVPS. You guys kind of have one as well too with Suds, right?
Well, Suds is again, this is a group of people that we came up. They actually contacted me through Facebook. They were trying to find a paranormal team to help someone that they know. So we ended up working with them. They were not Suds at that time. Their podcast was The Truth About Beer and ... and the and was whatever they were into. And they happened to be into the paranormal. So they started the show. We were on it quite a few times. And that's where it blended, and they want to come out on investigations. So we started bringing them to different locations that we have access to. And they decided to put something together. So we have them on our website, Suds. Then we have Leland, his group, he's an Apache, which for out here is absolutely incredible. We do have recordings. We have 5 or 6 questions in Apache, German, Czech, Chinese, one or two other ones to actually use on EVP sessions because everybody doesn't speak English. But having Leland on some locations, he's picking up on things. When we do our recorder, we don't know what it's saying. We have to wait for a review or send it to him later on. So that works out really well, having an Apache linguist with us. And that's his team. He's part of the group, Splinter Group. So they will handle anything that we get. With traveling, I don't know how much gas is by you guys, but we're like $5 a gallon. So Sug handled kind of like the southern area, and Leland's team, they end up handling up in the north area. Being that they are Apache, they're allowed to go certain parts that Anglos are not allowed to enter. So they get a lot of work that way trying to help people. And their spiritual beliefs are very interesting and associated with the paranormal that we do. Sometimes it kind of conflicts a little bit, so you have to be sort of careful. He has to be careful what he says and what he does. A lot of times the elders have to approve anything that they're doing, especially recording. We can't record anything or show it, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
That does.
One question I want to touch on here, Tina was asking that she says, I just don't understand why spirits want to stay at a jail. Now this is coming from a gal that
all the time.
She used to work at the jail. So I want to throw my input on it, and you can give me yours too. So Tina, my feeling on it is it's just like if you've ever seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption. So they don't know anything other than being in that jail, because a lot of the people that you'll notice are people that were there for long term. They were there for a very long time, and they don't know what it's like outside anymore. That is their home, their safe place, everything they know. So that's why they stay there. It may not be the best place, but that's what they know.
That's a definitely good point. Another point, if you want to get religious, purgatory. Maybe that's purgatory. They hated being there. They're incarcerated for whatever deed they did. And if there is an afterlife and they have to go to an area called purgatory, that could be a purgatory. But you're right. There, people that pass that we get connected with. Again, Kingsley, he was murdered in the location. So he may not know what to do. We don't own the place. We don't ask to. We will not try to pass anything over. Any people that come in there, like if we do a private team that will come out and we will be there with them, we ask them, please do not anything like that, because it's not our place to do. We don't own a place. We have not been asked by the Historical Society to do anything. So people that are there, we have Kingsley Olds. There's a couple other that committed suicide. There has been a lot of murders inside the jail because it was loose. I mean, you're talking about, the 20s, 30s. There were jailbreaks. There were people that literally just walked out of their jail because the jailers were drunk and sleeping. So, it was a place that, it wasn't the best condition, but they were there for quite a long time, and that became life. That's what they knew the most of. So, same thing with hospitals. Why do people hang out in hospitals? Why would there be spirits sitting in a hospital? They pass there. It's definitely a place of misery. It does, bring in life, but primarily you're going there because it's a bad day that you're having. So, but they are there for whatever reasons. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We need these questions asked, and it's been asked for decades now, and nobody's any closer to the truth. It's all what you feel. It's your interpretation and, your opinion. That's pretty much it. If anybody says, no, you're wrong, okay, prove it. You just can't. So yes, everything that you're thinking, definitely valid points for sure. Time travel, aliens, multiple universes, sure. Everything is possible.
Well, I mean, this open forum going on is working out good because it leads us nicely into the next part of this that I wanted to ask you about.
Yay.
So you have another group, project, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That
you're a busy man.
You are.
Retired. I do have a travel agency, but it's I have 15 agents throughout the states. We just do the book back end. I don't do any bookings anymore, but that keeps us so busy. My wife and I run that, and that gives me the flexibility to kind of do what I need to do. She gets upset because she's stuck here, but it does allow me to be able to concentrate on different avenues that I'm looking to do.
Sure. Well, the next avenue, like I was saying, is actually on your shirt right now.
Yeah, paranormal group, yeah.
I wanted to hear about the paranormal group.
Well, again, when I came out here, I went on list, and if you go to some of these lists and you click on the links to these teams, it goes to like Chinese writing or they're dead links. So we want to put something together that if people are looking for something, that they will reach out to us, and they're in Idaho or Ohio or somewhere where we have a local team that we can end up referring them to. Same thing with tour groups. We want to open it up to haunted locations. It's a lot of work on the back end. If anybody's done any websites, it takes a heck of a lot of work to do all this and do it right so it works, especially now since everything is via phone. Your website has to read right, the pictures have to load. You can't wait for 20 minutes for your page to actually get up and running. So there's a lot of work to that part. So eventually it's going to move that way. Right now it's more concentrating on getting teams together, and any teams that do join the paranormal group, there's no fees, nothing like that. It's just a place, another link for your algorithms to possibly help you with. But again, for people to try to reach out, and anybody that joins, we have Ghost Hunters Outlet, which is a small store that we have. We carry all the major products. We work with a local inventor, and he's a retired engineer, not Bill Chappell, but same type of guy. He has all this crazy stuff. I'm actually begging him to please make Geordi's visor from Star Trek, where you can see it. And he's like, well, there's a possibility to be able to see EM, so he's working on it. So that would be an absolute kick, right? But
I want one.
Yeah, they'll go crazy. It's going to be it's going to go out for cost, because I think it would change the industry. But Ghost Hunters Outlet, I started that because I was frustrated. As gear started to become prevalent, back in the day, we were using cassette players, bells. We still have bells, compasses. Then introduction of EM meters, people started using those. I think K2 was 2002. It started surfacing. So as it developed, and Gary, he lost his daughter, and he produced the millimeter and the spirit box and the REM pod. So we got onto that, but we are contracted to only sell at specific prices. But for us, what we do is we ship for free. So that's how we're able to help teams get some things affordable. But as anybody that joins the paranormal group, we do provide special discount codes for them. We will also, if you bought a piece of equipment that maybe you saw somewhere and you try it out and you just think it stinks, we'll evaluate it, we'll take it in, and we'll try to sell it for you, because we have somewhat of a reach. So all these things are all coming into play. We're putting together a production company, ParaUnity, and that is basically going to be more historic stuff. We're going to be working with Globe. We're going to be doing, I think we're looking at 8 different buildings. We're going to get the full history. We have 3 or 4 local historians that are going to help us. It's going to be a long project. First off, we got to get up there. It's 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So, again, then we got to get everybody together who's working. I'm pretty much available, but even historians, they have to allocate time for us. So that's another back project, and that's part of the paranormal group. Eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to put like YouTube links for people as well. But again, it's web design. It's a lot of work. But that's what this started, was just some place that you can find things and you can intercommunicate. Maybe a community board will have some time. So it's a work in progress. It just started. We just got this thing rolling.
That's exciting.
So I've been happy. I've had a great life. I have great children, granddaughter. I'm in good health so far. Knock wood. But the whole thing was giving back. The historic locations, giving back to other investigators, helping other investigators start. People have questions. A lot of people, they started because of paranormal shows, which is fine, but you need to find your own way. Don't just be a knockoff of something you've seen. Learn your identity, use that identity, and become yourself, and make your own mark. And that's what I'm trying to do here in Arizona. We had last year, paranormal group, we ran our first ParaCon up in Globe. And I got the idea from Jay. His first ParaCon was 2018, I think it was, or 2019. And, I reached out to him. I said, hey, give me some advice. He said, just have fun. Don't get caught up in the logistics and, who canceled on you and everything else. Just have a good time with it. So I kept that in the back of my mind. We had all local, it was pretty much an Arizona ParaCon, all local teams. We had historians, we had lecturers, we did paranormal investigations, we did ghost tours and historic tours during the day. And we netted the Historical Society of $3,500 after all expenses, which I thought was tremendous. So ParaCon 2 is going to be April 22nd of this year. So hopefully it's going to be bigger and better. And you learn from what you screwed up. You know, we made terrible mistakes on some things. Like the time of year was just too hot. You know, hot, right? Yeah, our 90 degrees is like you're 70, you know. So it was around 100, so it was a little too hot to be running around outside for the vendors. So
makes sense. And also, I mean, we'll actually make sure that we post
I'll let
that
you know.
that'd be exciting. Yay. And you just came back from Vulture City?
Yeah, we just were up at Vulture City for the past 2 days. We had a vendor set up there. And again, we made a lot of people. I do sell equipment in the state and out of the state. So there's always a name, there's always a group. And these are kind of cool things because you get to meet people that you've communicated with via email or text, but you never have a chance to, you know, kind of look face to face. So a lot of the talent that they had were very interesting, did a lot of workshops. I mean, Vulture City, the background to it, basically it was going to be leveled. There was a mining consortium that bought it. They actually ran the mine until last year. But all these historic buildings, they were dilapidated and they were just bulldozing. And part of the conglomerate, gentleman Rod and his wife Robin, they decided to keep these and save them. So they put their own money and time to bring these buildings back. I mean, this stuff was falling apart. I mean, you really couldn't go in there and investigate safely. And they ended up bringing it back, and they started through ParaCon. They do have events that are up there, weddings and different things like that. But I don't know if you've seen any type of footage or seen pictures of it. It is absolutely a tremendous job they did. So, and I talk to them. I'm going to be here every year because I want to make sure I support you. So, basically, second Saturday of every October forever is Vultures
City. Yep.
But it was fun. It really was fun.
Well, you can plan on getting a message from me after we get done with the show, either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll send you all of my team's contact information because we're more than happy to join your group.
Great.
Yeah, I'm party of one though. I'm kind of alone. I'm kind of on my own.
You want to be able to have a location that people can find. You know, hey, I'm thinking about coming to Iowa. And there's someone there and you can reach out, you know, and then hopefully ParaUnity does come up where, please come out and we'll be glad to take you to some of our locations, help you get around, give suggestions and different things like that. That's kind of how it should work. It shouldn't be standoffish. We got to help each other.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do because I think we all have a common goal.
That's the whole point of the show.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
ParaUnity Podcast, exactly.
Get everybody here, get everybody around.
That was kind of one of the perks I had when I was traveling for work is I always would find teams. And I mean, it helped that I had the show too, because I would reach out to teams and be like, hey, I'm going to be in your area in such and such. Can I investigate with you while I'm down there? Let's do an episode of the show while I'm down there too. Mm-hmm. So we did the show with the different teams and we'd go to these places and it opened up so many doors.
Of course.
I got to meet so many different teams and Whitney's, you know, experiencing this in the last year she's been here too. There's been so many teams that we've talked to, just like you, where they want that door open and they want to interact with the other teams. And it's so great to see.
It is. It absolutely is. We got people from California coming in next week. So, you know, it's just, you know, we're not going to give them everything that we have. We want them to have, you know, their own experiences without, again, being anything predetermined, but to be able to share this. And again, your evidence, everybody's personality, everybody's energy is completely different. You're going to be picking up on things that are different than what we've ever even discovered. And that's the cool thing about the tours and the events we do. Is we get different feedback and, you know, who is sensitive, who has different, you know, levels of mediumship. And it's just really neat to get all this data and have it, especially for me, because that's my one thing. There's 4 locations that we do a lot and getting all and compiling that data and keeping that. And then when new people come out and seeing if everything is correlating to what we have and what they're getting. That's exciting stuff to me. That's the way it really needs to be. So any teams that come out here, if you want to come out to Arizona, March, April, October, November, December, don't bother with the summer because it's just brutal. We don't even do events during the summer. It's just too hot. You know, the jail's like 110 degrees up there.
Oh, God.
You don't want to be out there. So anybody that ever wants to come out here, please reach out for sure.
You heard it here. Yes. Don't come to Arizona this summer. My God.
That's what we did. We were up in Superior in June.
Yeah, it was hot, and that's high elevation. That's fairly cool. I mean, you go to Phoenix with all the buildings and streets.
There was also, it was what, 3 years ago roughly now, and so they had the forest fire going in the forest too. So, and where we were, as the evening progressed, you could watch the flames moving over the ridge side. So
we don't have tornadoes, but we do have fires. That's one of the negatives that we have out here.
You don't have tornadoes, really?
Not really. I mean, we have dust devils, which are kind of mini tornadoes, but nothing absolutely massive like you would be here on the East Coast or South. But those wildfires, we actually had to cease operations up in Globe because the one road to get up there to 60, it was in flames. You just couldn't pass. It was, everything was burning everywhere, and all different states were bringing in firefighters. It was a really big deal. When I came out here in 2002 or 3, there was something called a compound fire. I think half of North Arizona was on fire, and you can actually see it in like California. You can actually see it in the atmosphere, and you're breathing it. Where that's when we really need, to do masks like we had for COVID. Because that was really hurting a lot of people with asthma and respiratory issues. It caused a lot of problems out here.
Well, you guys have those, what are they, the huboobs or whatever they're called?
Huboobs, yeah.
Yeah,
basically it's all, we just got done with our season, and this was a very aggressive season. I mean, I've been out here, now since 2008, and first year we're out here was incredible. I mean, it rain's coming down sideways. Actually, I had a couple tiles, and we have those concrete tiles. That's our roof, come down because the wind just pulled it out.
Wow.
Those are heavy tiles. They're like 20-something pounds each. So, yeah, we have the huboobs out here, lots of dust. You'll have everything coated out there, and you get your garden hose, and you go try to clean your table, and it just stays there. You got to actually rub them off. It's just incredible. And that's, Adobe. That's what, they're using the ground here, and that's what it actually is. The caliche that's in here, if you try to put a rod in the ground, you have to wet it. Otherwise, you're going to sit there and just a pickaxe is just going to bounce off the ground. You have to soak it to be able to dig through.
Okay, good to know.
Stuff out here. Coming from the back east, I had a very rude awakening of living here. Scorpions and all the fun little critters.
Oh,
well, the nice thing about, and that'll be a good tip for this evening. When you're doing your investigations, when you're using your black lights, shine them around because those scorpions glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We have them in the jail. We usually do a walkthrough, just to make sure. We tell people, don't lean on walls, watch where you're sitting. We do some stuff down in, it was just on Ghost Adventures, Acadia Ranch, which they called the Acadia Sanatorium, which was an old TB hospital. But that place, a lot of the shrubbery and everything is overgrown, and there's just like scorpions galore out there. So we tend to not even let people go in certain areas because it's just really that bad down there. But interesting critters.
And that actually is another great tip, to always do a walkthrough before you do an investigation.
Yeah, besides, getting base readings and everything, look at what may be around you. We have recluses in there, a couple other different spiders. One of my guys is, I don't know, he just knows bugs inside and out. And he'll pick them up, even though they're poisonous. I don't know how he handles them, but he picks them up and takes them outside. It's kind of crazy, but it's a great place. I mean, anybody ever wants to come out here, it's a really good, there's ghost towns galore. It should change Arizona to ghost town. Just call it ghost town, not Arizona, because there's just so much out here. I was talking to somebody at Vulture, and they just hooked up with somebody that way out west. It's in nowhere's land. It's south of Yuma. If you happen to know where the Yuma Territorial Prison is, that area.
Yep.
It's south of that, kind of on the way to San Diego. This guy owns 22 ghost towns, and it's just out in nowhere. You have to do 4x4. There's no way to get out there. You can't take an SUV. You can't take a car. But he wants to investigate. So there's teams that are going to rotate. Team A is going to do location 1, while Team B does 2, and so on and so forth. And then everybody's going to rotate, and then we compare what we've got. So that's going to be an interest. It's going to take 2 years to do from the way everything's going right now, what we're trying to work on. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's another interesting project.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of exciting things in the work for you guys. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Basically, one of our multi-sites, AZ Ghost Tours, is one of the sites. The main company is Paranormal Group. You can Google that. info@paranormalgroup.org, azghosttours.org. The Paranormal Company, Arizona Paranormal Investigation Research Society, it's just our initials, azpirs.com. Usually Vinny or info on any of those at whatever it was will work fine. Phone number, my direct line cell is, let me think of it now, 480-757-2400. You can reach me, but please don't call. Remember, if you're coming from the East Coast, I'm usually sleeping when you might try to get me, like you're calling at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock your time. It's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock out here. So remember that time frame. But we're usually, respond within 12 hours. Facebook, we're on Facebook, all the different entities. It is still best to email because besides me getting them, some of the other team members get them simultaneously. So if I'm involved and whatnot, somebody will always reach out.
All right. And we'll make sure all that information is in the show notes.
And Paracon 2, April 22nd, 2023. Mark those down. Come on out. Globe's a great experience. Our entire area is a great experience. You've been to Scottsdale. Scottsdale has a lot of stuff going on in the winter months, car shows and a lot of different sporting events, golf. And all for your golfers, this is the place to be for sure. But just our natural beauty. It's a great place to come. Grand Canyon, as you mentioned, there's so much other stuff that isn't even listed in some things that the locals will tell you all about.
There's a little seafood house that's kind of over by Sky Harbor.
I don't know that one.
I can't remember the name of it, but we went and ate there, and it was super, you could just feel it in the air. It was super cool. One of the locals told us about it.
Yeah.
And, so, it was great. They had all sorts of stories for it, and we didn't really get anything that happened, but I wish I could remember the name of it. I cannot remember for life.
But it's near the airport.
It's near Sky Harbor, yeah, because we never went too horribly far in Phoenix away from that for meals, because the place where we were working at was literally almost in the back seat of Sky Harbor. It was right by the University of Phoenix.
There's a place down there, which I can't remember. It's pretty much barbecue, but if you want to try rattlesnake, they got rattlesnake and all this.
Oh, yeah, we were there.
Yeah, you're looking at Phoenix. I can't remember the name. Rustler's Roost, maybe?
Yeah.
Anytime we have any family or friends coming out from back east, they're like, "Well, you want to try rattlesnake?" Okay, we go down there. But it's great. It's a nice place, great scenery. You can see beautiful skyline of Phoenix, provided that it's not. We're getting a lot of pollution as of late. So hopefully that gets cleaned up.
Yeah, this little place looked like a boat.
It's a great place for paranormal investigators to come. It's a mecca out here. Vulture City, Globe, Oracle. Even here in Phoenix, there's so many locations in Phoenix. And all these outskirts, Kingsman, Ruby, all these places that are not on any haunted location list, they're all out here, and they're just waiting to be explored. So, yeah, please, anybody that wants to have a great time, we're right, close to Nevada. So there's, Virginia City and all these places there, Pioneer Saloon up there. These are all places that are 4 or 5 hour drives, so you can make a really great week out of it. Same thing, people in Nevada are very open for people. They want to communicate and work with people. So this, out west, come on out.
Well, Tucson
sounds like a plan.
Tucson also, yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is a place, definitely a place to be. And you can hit the major touristy paranormal spots, but, Arizona's got a lot to offer, as many places. But as I said earlier, I made a mistake by not doing things in my backyard because they'll always be there. And now that I'm here, I'm making sure that I'm making the time to visit things. And I love the fact that it's young history out here, where I saw 300-year-old Victorians being torn down for parking lots in New Jersey. Out here, they're kind of fearful, and they're sort of keeping things, which is, I think, is awesome, which is what we're all about.
Don't even get me started about tearing down houses.
But I mean, I think that's good advice for anywhere you live.
But
make sure you're checking out your backyard.
Please do, folks. And you've heard it here. Let's go out west, my friends.
Well, another thing that I should encourage everybody to check out would be Whitney's new book.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Okay. Well, it's not just my book. It is coming out through Anatolian Press, and it is an anthology called Autumn Tales. 10 amazing authors, 10 spooky tales, and it's all going towards a great cause. Pre-orders are up right now for Amazon, and the release is October 15th. We'll have print copies coming out too.
Excellent.
And proceeds from Amazon sales are going to benefit an organization called Collective Liberty, which is fighting the battle against human trafficking. So it's
a hard battle too.
It is a hard battle, but you know what? We call our horror anthology with a heart, and pre-orders are important because it gets people to see the book. And not only am I in it, but so is friend of the show, Betsy Kulikowski. In fact, her story opens the anthology. So plug, Autumn Tales. It's up on Amazon pre-orders. Check it out always. And Betsy is with me going, woot, woot. Hey, that's it.
Wow, that's a horrible view.
It's a horrible view, but it's going up on all the socials. Yay, that's it. Thank you.
All righty. Well, Vinny, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
No, I appreciate letting me yap for an hour. Everybody, I do hope you have a great night. And again, if you ever want to come out to the area, please reach out.
We will. For sure.
And remember, ParaUnity. Let's work together. Let's find those answers we're looking for. Okay.
I think we can do that. Thank you so much.
If you ever hear a word on your spirit box or an EVP, Barracuda, that's me.
Okay.
We all have trigger words. People I work with back east. One guy was an actual lighting designer for KISS when they first were rolling around. He actually did the KISS sign, but his word is KISS. So if you're ever doing an EVP session and you hear KISS come through, it could be Mike. But the thing that everybody should do that, if we do, we will all pass, but to be able to let somebody know that we're here with them. As that person said, our other spirits that are here when people pass, there are other spirits here. People do visit. So Barracuda is for me.
Barracuda.
All right.
All right.
I love it.
I love it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Vinny.
And thanks to everyone else that joined us and was tuning in.
Okay.
Yay.
Hi, Jeannie.
Oh, puppy.
Okay. No shower. Okay, no bath.
And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please remember to take a second to rate us 5 stars or leave us a review. It helps us to get the word out about the show, and we want to hear your feedback to help make the show better.
That's right. And if you're an Android listener, you can follow us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or Google Podcasts so you never miss an episode. The other thing you can do is just simply say, "Hey, Alexa, play that ParaUnity podcast." And she'll follow right along. Remember, if you do like the show, tell a friend. If you want to be a guest on the show or just want more ParaUnity, please join us on either our Facebook or Instagram pages. The other thing, if you want to help support our show, please stop by the website and buy us a coffee. But my name is Brandon.
And I'm Whitney. And you have been listening to the best place to bring our paranormal teams and family a little closer together. The ParaUnity Podcast, and we're Saved by the Bell. Love you.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.